Now, look, Coach is going to look a little still here, but we had to freeze frame him in. Couldn't make everything work tonight. Combined age of the staff and coach, I think we probably 180 divided by 3, and just let everybody else figure that out. But anyway, we got Coach on here, and of course over here, Phil Harris. Phil, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Looking forward to talking with Coach Hammons. Known him for a long time. Think the world of him, and glad to have him on again.
Well, Coach Hammons has always been willing to come on and talk to us, and I thank him for that. But, Coach, I'm going to lead off tonight with one question that'll probably get us into more, but we're going to have to go ahead and talk about it. Who designed the new uniforms? Was that for the team, or?
I really don't want to take the full credit for it. We all talked about it, but wanted to go back to the original Yalla that we wore for so long here. And to be honest with you, we looked at some different stuff, and we already had our logo, and just made the move with it. It wasn't a cheap move, but we really like them. We've got, I think there's 9 different nine different ways we can wear them, combinations of them, and kids are excited. And we had a little uniform reveal, the deal we did during May, and I think everybody's going to like them. I think they really look good on them.
Coach, uniforms is that's the one thing that probably me and Phil Harris have in common. We're both uniform guys, and we talk about uniforms. And as soon as you revealed your new uniforms, he sent them to me. And like everybody else, the first thing I came out with was who it looked like and what you did with it.
Sure.
How many versions of, it kind of looks like this or it kind of looks like that have you heard over the year?
Not a lot. I tell you, kind of some backstory on them. It was 1984. Phil was an all-star playing here at Valley Head, and I was just a kid, and my mother was working here at the school, and Coach Kirby was our head football coach, and John was playing, and everybody knows that group of guys. And we actually had what you call a manager staff, and we had 4 managers, and I'll never forget it, me and Heath Kirby and Jason Gregory and Carl Smith. And there's 5 of us, and Jeff Wright. So we had 5, and we rotated who cleaned the locker room, and we rotated who got to run the balls in. But we were at every practice. And I can remember we had manager jerseys that year, which was the big mesh, taggle-twilled, belly length Yalla with purple numbers on it, jerseys, and mine was number 63, and I kind of remember everybody's, and it was those jerseys that Mike Gibson and I don't know, Jeff Manning and those guys, they wore. So I can still remember the Yalla. So when I came back every year, John got us some Yalla hats a couple of years ago, and the more I looked at it, the more we liked it. And I really hadn't had anybody say, hey, it looks like so-and-so. We seen Jackson play down in the state championship game, and they were yellow and purple, and I thought their uniforms looked really good. So we went with them.
Well, Coach, before I go to Phil, if it's any consolation, it's my 2 favorite uniforms. I had to come up with that combination to kind of make it. So
Awesome.
I love the shoulder popping. I've always been a big fan of the shoulder popping.
Yeah, I like it too. And we actually had the yellow uniform last year. We come out for homecoming last year and revealed them. So that just helped, that give us three full uniforms with 9 combinations.
Well, Phil, when you wore that yellow, did you wear leather helmets, or did you have an actual, was it an actual hard helmet, or was it leather?
No, that was getting into the plastic then. The old bike helmets that wouldn't hold air.
It had 1 bar.
1 bar.
One bar.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. Well, Coach, I do like the uniforms because it's more that traditional look, and I'm more of a traditional type coach. I didn't, these retro stuff is not my style. But one thing I want to ask about it: what made you choose the VHS across the chest? Before you've had like Valley Head, Valley Head has had Valley Head across the chest or Tiger. What made you go with the VHS?
I really don't know. I had Gio, who's the Rydell rep. He came up and he played quarterback. Don't hold me to it. He told me where he played, and I've been dealing with him ever since Mark Howard retired. And he's a super good guy. And I found out that he played college football on a high level and played quarterback. But we got talking about all that, and he sat up here with me and could use his computer and just design it and let me see it. So that helped. I got a visual of everything before we went with it. And once we done that, I thought it just looked really good. So we went with it.
And Coach, that's one of the things that was my throwback. That actually reminded me of the day when UTC wore UTC.
Yes, yes sir. I remember that.
Yeah. Go ahead, Phil. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah. And, with this uniform look, and now, well, Coach, how are you going to? I mean, because you got so many different combinations. How is the input be on what you're going to wear when? Are you going to kind of leave that up to the seniors? How are you going to work that?
I'll let the captains choose every week. They can talk with the team and choose, and really doesn't make a hill of beans to me. What they want to go out in. I like the all yellow that we wore last year. So that's my preference, I guess. But once we got to putting them together, there was 4 or 5 other ones that looked pretty good too. So I'm gonna let them do it.
Well, my personal favorite, if I pick for the first game, would be the purple pants and the purple jerseys and gold pants. I like that look. I think the all white looks good, and any combination of the gold pants I do like.
Mm-hmm. I do too, Phil. I do too. We're really really proud of them. Still got a bill to pay for, but I tell you, as long as it doesn't matter around here. We feed the community in May and do a little raffle and try to raise some money, but there's not really a whole lot of trying to raise money because we've got a multitude of people that's got their hands. Everybody working the same way, I guess you would call it, our quarterback club, since I've got here with Wesley Frost for the first years, and now with Jody Nance and our officers. Just everybody is kind of on the same page, and raising funds, even in a town that doesn't have a red light, is pretty good here. People come out for the game of football, and these kids.
Yeah. Definitely. So, well, that brings. I was going to go a different direction, but while you're on this subject, to you, and I hear this from a lot of people who's been at Valley Head, they've moved on to other areas, but their time at Valley Head was one of their favorite places. I think Coach King will tell you that.
Yes.
Coach Hannah will tell you how special Valley Head is. There's several. Coach Darwin, when he was here. It's just a special place. What makes it special? What makes it stand out? You came back a second time. What makes Valley Head special?
Phil, there's a lot of intangibles that go into that. One, I think most everybody is kin to each other. At Valley Head High School, our senior football players, they know who all the third graders are. So it's really not a age thing here at Valley Head. It's really not a money thing. You can have your dad can give you a brand new truck, or you can be that guy that may not have a vehicle till they're 21 years old because they're having to work for, but everybody gets along. There's so much history here. Back through the Coach Hobbizel days, the Coach Householder days, the Coach Kirby days. There's not many people that's come through Valley Head that didn't get a little taste of some success on the gridiron. Now, we had a run there for a little stint where that it was pretty tough, but we've always cycled some. But as far as making this place special, in my opinion, I think it has a lot to do with the community is always going to take care of their own here. They're just going to, there's not a lot of asking for handouts. There's not a lot of there's no businesses to give you financial support. I can remember at Valley Head, and this, we've talked about this before, but you can remember Dad and my Uncle Ronnie building the field house down there where we could have the state championship game at Valley Head. I can remember Mama having car shows over to park and beauty pageants to raise money for the new field here. We played on a city field forever. That was basically a city field, just like our baseball field. I can remember Dad and Ronnie. I can remember, Randy Carson and Tommy Gifford. Tommy Gifford was up here forever moving dirt to get the new field built. And I remember Dad and them building the bleachers, that got tore down. So when we want something here at Valley Head, you just pretty much, if you're the head coach here, if you'll walk outside and grab a shovel, there's going to be 10 people stop by and say, Coach, what are you doing? And I really do believe if I told them, hey, we're building a mansion, the next day they would get up a group of guys and they're going to start building that. I could tell them was building a boat dock out here and they go to work on it because I had a shovel in my hand. But, all those things tied together with, our kids being around each other, most everybody being kin somehow or the other, kin to, his girlfriend or their girlfriend, and, money and your race and ethnic group. None of that really matters here. Whether you're what class of citizen you fall in, everybody just gets along, and there's a lot of love at this place. I was here. This was my all-time favorite job, and I was here for 4 years in the early 2000s, and neither here nor there at one point in time moved on. And I worked in Georgia for about 18 years trying to find Valley Head, and it was impossible. And I landed at Chattooga, and it's funny because Chattooga is just right on the other side of Lookout Mountain. Lookout Mountain, but a lot larger. Somerville is a much bigger town, much bigger school. But the dynamics were identical. My kids were identical. I had someone call me here the other day about someone had interviewed, and they said, well, how will they do? They're from that little small school. How would they do over here? I said, look, your kids are the same as my kids. You just got more of them. Our dynamics are the same. So when I found Chattooga, I really found home. And Macy was playing her last year of volleyball, and I decided to step away from being a head coach where I could go see her some. And luckily landed at Dade County with Jeff Poston and Brent Cooper's he was the AD and assistant principal. And I remember telling Jeff, I said, Jeff, you've got me forever. And Coach, I'll be here till the cows come home. And the only job I'm ever going to apply for is Valley Head if it comes open. And I'm going to apply every time it comes open. And sure enough, 8 days before the first game, Coach Vincent had a job opportunity and we talked and it was open. So I came, and hopefully I can be here for a little while longer. I'm really happy right now, and it sure is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, it sounds good. This is your 5th season, and I know you're not going to pat yourself on the back, but your longevity at Valley Head and what I see and what's important in a 1A school, and I'm sure you can say this in a 1A and 2A school, it's difficult to maintain, a consistent winning program because in 1A and 2A schools, you often have so much turnover in not only head coaches, but also in assistant coaches. So you don't have that continuity. A lot of times kids will play for 2 or 3 different head coaches in their playing days. Now you're in your 5th season, and Valley Head, seems to be established where they're going to be a playoff contender every year.
I sure hope so. And I think, you hit the nail on the head. We're going to cycle. This place has always cycled. Sometimes it's been a short cycle. Sometimes it's been a long cycle. But just not, I guess, consistency in whoever it is in the head job has a lot to do with a stronghold of a program 1 and 2A to be able to maintain success. And Coach Benefield's done it at Fife, and there's some other places that it's been done, but you pretty much got to stay the long haul and get through some of the bad years. I know you can look back and not every year Coach Kirby, not every year Coach Householder or Coach Hobsdale were great ones, but they all had they strung together 8-9 years in a row, and Coach Hobsdale had 2 different stints, I know, but consistency has a lot to do with it. It really does.
Yeah, and I think, of course, one of your biggest thing is the weight program. You get these kids in the weight program early, and I see where it pays off in that, like the last couple of years, you've had a lot of senior and 1A school, that's big. I think what you had 12 last year, maybe 12 the year before. Yeah. But the thing is, these guys are in the weight program. Yeah, they don't have a lot of on-field playing experience, but physically, when they hit the field, they are ready. Maybe they're not quite there in the mental part of it, but if you're physically ready, the rest of it will catch up. So I think that's where the weight room really benefits.
I agree. I've kind of always used the numbers of, if a kid can get where he can bench press 200 pounds by himself, and he can squat 300 pounds by himself parallel, and he can power clean 200 pounds, he can contribute somewhere, some way, somehow on Friday night. And those are the numbers we try to reach for. So, our weight program is really put us where I hope we can be competitive year in, year out. I get these kids in the 6th grade after Christmas, and I start pulling 6th graders 2 days a week. And I've done that now for 3 years. And we start out with a bar with them, and it doesn't take long. They want to max, and they want to get weight on the bar. And I wait till approximately Christmas of their 7th grade year to let them max. And once we max and I put them on the progressive overload, we fight that thing every week. We don't change anything. We don't add to it, don't take away from it. And every day when they leave, I tell them to eat. Eat all you can eat and rest. And so it's really paid off for us. And it paid off for us at Dade County and Chattooga. It really did. But, we're into a situation here now where I guess this will be my 18th year as a head football coach. I think I'm right there. But I have always had the biggest of the biggest kids. Our weight program has just put weight on them, and the big kids like it. I don't run them a whole lot. So, they like being a part of it. And we just always attracted some big kids, and they're all gone. This is probably the first year that I've ever been a head football coach that we can't just line up and at least try to bully people. It's hard to bully folks when you got one kid over 200 pounds. So we're having to work on some stuff to help us out there. We're really good in the skill positions. All those positions are back. I feel like we have one of the top returning offensive players in Titan Blevins. I think we have one of the top returning defensive players in Ben Johnson. And I think we have one of the top returning athletes in Case of McElrath. So all that sounds good, but we're just real small up front. Our kids up front are great kids. We just don't have a lot of butt. So we're going to have to do some things other than get toe-to-toe and try to bully folks,
Well, that's I guess that goes into what I was going to ask you about is, some of the positives for this team coming back and the negatives are going to be up front, but you are good in the skill position. And you and I talked about this, and probably you do have the 2 best players in 1A Region 8 in Ben Johnson and Titan Blevins. Because, naturally, Ben Johnson was the defensive player of the year in 1A Region 8. So that goes a long way in that, of course, you finished 4th in the region behind Spring Garden and Raglan and whomever it is, in Appalachian, but they were a lot of senior laden teams too. They lost a lot. So really this region is you don't know what you're going to get. You're going to have an improved Eider team. They've kind of sort of had to retool, but I'm sure they're going to come out with a little fire under their belt now. So it's really going to be tough. I don't think there's really a clear-cut favorite in 1A Region 8 right now.
No, if I had to pick a favorite right now, I would probably point my finger toward Appalachian. Coach does a great job down there, and he's got quite a few returning guys back, and they've got a monster in the tailback that we really had trouble stopping last year. And this game too, you can land first, you can land fourth. It's just like anything else you do in life, and don't let folks kid yourself. The ball's got to bounce your way some. You can play your ever-loving guts out. You can do everything right, and if it's just not meant to be and the ball don't bounce your way, you fall a little short sometimes. So, I call it lady luck or whatever you want to call it, but we're at Appalachian, and I feel like we're going to win the game last year and kick an onside kick, and the officials get together. We get the ball, 2 minutes left, and they hadn't slowed us down either. It was whoever got the ball last was going to win the game. And, they use a ruling of we kicked the top of the ball and drove the ball into the ground. Well, when you go back and watch tape, I really don't know how else you kick an onside kick, but I know the rule was set up to keep kids safe from looking up as people are oncoming to hit them. But when you go back and watch the tape, the ball never got over anyone's head. And they take the ball away from us there. And then we go to, and by the way, that night also, we hadn't had a bad punt snap all year. And that night we had two that set up 2 scores for them. Then we get to, Raglan. And really it wasn't on our center. We went through 2 centers, but we lost 3 balls at Raglan, just quarterback center exchange. And it was on our quarterback and running backs. The balls actually hit them in the hand, and we dropped that game. But we play hard enough to win sometimes. So I think Appalachian's a clear favorite, in my opinion. But I think anybody can win a football game on any given night in this region right now. Gillsville had our number last year, second half. Coach Knapp does a great job of finding a weakness in you, and he found one on our defense, and we couldn't slow them down the second half. So we've got to fix that. But I guess what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is every team I think this year can come out on top on Friday night, and both teams be playing extremely well. It's just going to be how the ball bounces and how some of the things go to get you to the end.
Well, of course, I'm sure you kind of fell short of what your expectations may have been last year, finishing at 6-4. But this team was in every game. They had opportunities, and like the ball just didn't bounce their way.
Yeah, we're neck and neck with Spring Garden after three quarters, and the wheels kind of ran off there in the fourth. And they were really good last year, but I was really pleased the way we played through 3 quarters last year with them.
Yeah, because they were a very solid football team. And, and they were kind of sort of the head and shoulders team in the region last year, no doubt.
They were. And, I still use the old mentality. I like to win as much as anybody does. But I tell you what I like more so than winning, and that's working with young men and young women. I've got Brayley Callahan's been with me for 4 years now, and I couldn't do this job without her. She's going to be a plus to any collegiate football team that picks her up. She does everything for me. So just working with young adults and getting the most out of them, seeing that kid who couldn't bench press the bar and now he's doing 145 and smiling when he comes in, and playing on Friday night, and kids giving everything they've got and playing their guts out and trying to be team players and being extremely coachable and having tons of sportsmanship where they take care of the opponents. That's what it's all about. We all want to win, but when the last horn blows on Friday night, if we haven't had any conduct trouble or team trouble, and the kids are giving all they've got, I don't care who wins. That's the fun part to me.
Well, Coach, I want to ask you about this, then we'll move on to, this coming season, because I want you to talk about some of the kids you're counting on besides Titan and Ben and McElrath. You played Wadley last year. They were the 1A state champion. How good was that football team?
Well, I had to pause there for a second. I think they could have played with anyone 1 through 3A. And I think they proved that in the state championship. That was we talk about it all the time. The big running back that's so good, and really he's every bit. He might be a better defensive player than he is running back. But I remembered we were down 1, and something happened, and they scored and went up a score on us, and we put together like a 10-minute drive. They couldn't stop us. And we're getting our 3 and 4 yards and picking up 4th and 1s, and we punch it in. And I remember we tied them, and the horn blowed going into maybe the second quarter. And they come out for kickoff return, and the big tailback, he went to hollering, and he was hollering at his whole team, and he was telling them to wake up, and if they didn't wake up, they was going to get beat. And I don't know, he got to getting on them. And we went in at halftime, and I said, well, I think we've made them mad. And that's kind of the way it went. I think they scored every way you could possibly score in a high school football game.
And they didn't do it just to y'all. They done it to a lot of folks. And, that was, I don't know that you could say, Coach, that they may be the best 1A team could be of all time, as dominating as they were through the playoffs. You don't see that often.
No, they were very good, but now they would not beat the 1989 Cortland team. The 1989 Cortland team had 12 of those running backs.
Yeah. Yeah.
I seen both of them, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It was the same team that went to beat Oxford.
I guess you could say there'd be a debate on the 1984 champion too, right?
What's that?
Oh, debate between Wadley now and the 1984 champion back in that day.
I think y'all take Wadley now, but I'm not going. I'm going to plead the filth on Cortland.
Yeah. But, talking about this season, I mean, and you talked about the 3 main cogs you've got, but who are some of the folks you've got coming back that you're counting heavily on? Because, you're going to have to count on some people to really step up this season.
We do. I think, the 3-headed monster really right now is Blevins, Johnson, and McElrath. And, I got to give props out to both Blevins kids, Ethan and Titan. I think I lost count of how many camps Ethan and Titan's been to this summer. Also, Kaysen has hit the count trail really hard. Kaysen and Titan and Ben, I try to take a lot of pride in my clock, and me and Coach Nikki Peppers have done it for years together, and so we're really close. And we run the kids in 40s twice, and we take the average of the two times, and that gets us really close. And I hit all 3 of those kids in low 4.6, and that kind of surprised me. Well, McElrath and Titan both hit 4.5 at Jacksonville, and Titan has hit 4.5, a high 4.5 at every camp he's been to. So, we've got those 3 kids, but the kids that really have to have a good year is Braden Hughes. Braden Hughes has played for me ever since I've been here. Braden's going to be a slot receiver. He's a great corner. Moved him to linebacker some last year. He's going to be a senior. Braden's got to have a good year. Ethan Blevins, Titan's younger brother, has got to become, a Friday night player. He needs to have a good year. We've got the 2 Kano brothers that played corner for us some last year. Both of them have got bigger and stronger and faster. They've got to have good years. Offensive linemen, Jackson Mann, Hunter Battles, McKinley Higdon, Jaden Costanza, Luther Wright, I don't want to leave nobody out. But I know, but those guys have really got gel in the new system that we're going to try to go with this year to give us a chance to get the ball in space and make some plays. So, all the guys that I just named, those John Cooper, Dupree, is probably going to play the 1 technique for us on defense. Levi Miller will probably play the 3 technique. And, those 2 kids, so I'm having to move kids into some different positions that they've never played before, but they're all football players. So I'm just hoping I can put the pieces to the puzzle together in time for our jamboree. Fortunately, we're having a jamboree here on the 15th, and hopefully we'll get some good stuff on tape and be able to adjust and be ready for Cedar Bluff, week 0.
Of course, you didn't have spring practice, so you've got that extra week coming up in the fall.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, well, I want to ask you about this. Talk about your staff a little bit. I know you've had a little changeover. A couple of the guys I don't know. But talk about those guys and how their roles are.
Well, we're real fortunate here, and I've always been real fortunate to somehow, some way surround myself with just good guys that think the same way you think and treat kids the same way. And, offensively, one of my best friends from high school, he's helped me everywhere I've been. He helped Coach Ellis for years there at Fort Payne. I can remember being in the box and him looking at me and saying, this is going to be a touchdown right after he just called the play. And sure enough, it would be. But Rayford Bethune's going to run our offense for us. And I've got Jared Hogan. Jared's my cousin that played at Concordia. Jay done the offensive line. He's still with us. So both those guys are from Valley Head, played at Valley Head, and both of them played college football. Jonathan McGill from Fife was with us last year. Jonathan's doing the wide receivers. And defensively, Coach Bob Smith, who we got hired last year, thank goodness. He was my DC at Chattooga every year. And we've just always been really close. Family's close. And he loves kids and loves the game. And he's our DC. He'll do the D-line again. Nikki Peppers, who played at Fife, and me and Nikki played against each other. Nikki was my assistant head coach at Chattooga. And Nikki actually drives from a little place called Kingsington, is what I call it. It's in between Lafayette and Dade County on the other side of the mountain. And he drives, for every practice every day. He comes once a week during summer for weights and sees the kids. And Nikki really likes ball. And Nikki trains MMA fighters. So, like, I posted on my social media, Nikki was in Vegas with a fighter that he actually had, Torres Finney, that came and spoke to the kids here, and Nikki had trained him, and Nikki was able to be in his corner on the UFC that was on television. So we got to take snaps and pictures of Nikki being in the corner and stuff. So the kids really like that. And Coach John Kirby, it's been here now 4, 5, 6, 7 years, and everybody knows John. John's going to do the defensive backs. And he worked with them some last year too, and he enjoys that. 7th, 8th grade ball, we try to play 7th and 8th grade. And I've got Craig Hogan's going to head that up for us and do our special teams on Friday night with the varsity. Coach Hogan, he's been here the whole time. He's Valley Head through and through, and Coach Williamson's going to help him, and Coach Jacob Bain's going to help him. Coach Jody Nance helps, which is our quarterback club president. He helps with that group some. And then Doug Wright also helps with that group, and Doug's been with me for 3 years. So I go on and on. We got about 15, but this group of guys have pretty much been together since day one and trying to add another good one every year, So we hope we can keep them all together for a while. It's as long as everybody's still having fun, and that's what it's about. Yeah, our kids are very fortunate. They can reach out to, when you're a high school kid at Valley Head High School, and you can reach out to Coach Bob Smith, who played at Hope's Bluff and was a DC at Chattooga, and you can reach out to Nikki Peppers, who played for Coach Householder at Fife and has coached his whole life. You can reach out to John Kirby. You can reach out to Rayford Bethune. You can reach out to, even Jared. Kids love Jared, and he stays after them and stays after his offensive line and does a great job with them. So, our kids are real fortunate that they've got some great men to be around, and it's a lot of fun in the locker room.
Yeah, and I guess one thing you allow, so to a certain extent, you let these kids be themselves.
I do. Kids are kids, and I let the coaches coach. I've never really had a problem with the ego. And I'll tell this short story. I was at Chattooga, and I had been there 4 years, and I had a kid. I could tell you his name. I mean, I ain't gonna name no names right now, but his mother worked in the concession stand, and this kid had played for me, and he played middle school, and he played JV ball, and it was time for the kid to be a varsity player, and the kid was a good player and a heck of a wrestler and fun kid. And I can remember being against the fence at Chattooga, and the mother, I'd seen her, spoke to her, been at every banquet for 4 years. And she comes up to me and she said, "Coach, which one of them's the head football coach?" And I pointed at Bob Smith and I said, "Ma'am, he's right there." So, I don't know. I try to let them all, that we all work together. That's for sure.
Yeah. Is that one of them times where you kind of sort of sneakily threw him under the bus?
What's that now?
Did you kind of sort of, that was a sneaky way of throwing him under the bus?
Oh, it definitely was, because I don't think she was happy about something. She was looking for the head coach, and I pointed at Captain Bob, and I said, "He's right there, ma'am."
Hey, ain't nothing wrong. You can pass it on sometimes.
Coach, I
want to ask you about one more thing, and I'll let Randy ask some questions. You got a lot of things going on. New stadium now, new stadium seats. Probably wasn't exactly what that had, exactly what they wanted, but it is what it is. But you've got a lot of other things going on. You've got a weight building that you're wanting to get done. I know you showed me the other night where y'all had poured some more concrete, and we're going to put a cover over the women's bathroom, put up, ticket booths and whatnot. Tell us the things that are going on right now and that have been done, and maybe some of the future things that you're going to better this program.
Well, we definitely are still working toward a weight room. And if you can come here in the evenings, on Tuesday evenings, our weight program, I give them 8 to 9 in the morning or 4 to 5 in the evening, because all of our kids work, and I want them to work. And even if they're not working, I want them to have the summer. We don't. Our June is basically just weights for an hour, and that's it. And it really is 50 minutes. But in the evenings, when I get a large crowd in the evenings, there's been some evenings where we had 30, 35 in the weight room for an evening session, and it's dangerous. We're just out of room. But, the weight room is still something that I hope before I leave this world, we're able to build a state-of-the-art weight room big enough for us to be proud of. The bleachers are new. The best thing we got out of that was the visitors' press box, which was well needed, and a new press box, which was well needed and updated with air conditioners. So all that was nice. The concrete has cleaned the place up some. We have put ticket booths over the ticket areas, 3 of them. And that was well needed. And it neatened up the stadium. It really looks good. You need to drive by and look at them sometime. They're done. So all that's paid for. And we put down some more concrete. Trying to think, a couple of years ago, we redone the decks. It was 2 decks, and now we've got the one big, nice deck. So just still trying to, when my day comes to an end, I want the next guy in, the next coach, to know that everything here is brand new and the grass has been cut and there's money in the account to get him started for the next year. But we're going to spend down to that every year upgrading this place. 20 years ago, we built this field house. 20 years ago, we built a practice field. Now we're doing this stuff. So, hopefully one day we can look up and just kind of take a big old deep breath and have something to really be proud of.
Yeah, definitely so. And a lot of people talks about how nice a field Valleyhead has. I've heard that in a lot of places. But, a lot of people has great atmospheres and great home atmospheres. But, to me, Valleyhead's got one of the best. You've got that backdrop of the mountain. And, of course, we don't have the railroad coming through like we used to.
No.
That was great atmosphere. But other than that, it's a pretty darn good atmosphere for high school football.
Phil, it really is. it's a beautiful setting for one. We keep it really, really clean. We are missing the railroad track and Denzel standing up there. If you'll remember, Denzel stood on the railroad track about every game. But when you come into Valley Head, you're going to be greeted with a smile, and we try to take care of everybody, and we want everybody to have a really good time. And you've got the 84 state championship guys sitting around that you can talk ball with. There's still some from the good 67 through 70 teams that are sitting around. You can go up on the hill and see that my daddy and Skippy Mathis and that bunch. You're going to get to talk a lot of football and a lot of history when you come to a Friday night game. I don't know if Brother Richard Ellis has missed a game. I couldn't tell you since when. So, it's just it's a really neat, good atmosphere for Friday night. And the beauty about Valley Head, you were talking about what makes it special. And I've seen this firsthand. This will probably top everything that we've talked about this community and Valley Head. There has been enough people at Valley Head play on very dominant, very good football teams, but also played on a very bad team, that everybody in Valley Head understands the word cycle, and everybody in Valley Head understands that you're not going to be great every year. So I've been at Valley Head and been 1-9 and probably got more support than when we was 9-0 playing Collinsville for a 10-win season. So people here understand that they have a full understanding of kids, the game, and they see people working and doing the right things. Everybody here is happy on a daily basis, but they have that understanding. There's a lot of places you can go to that 1 year you don't win, they don't have that understanding. Well, maybe you didn't have that horse that year. Maybe a Wadley come into your region. There's more go into it than just winning every year.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, Coach, right quick before I turn you over to Randy, we didn't talk about this. Talk about the schedule.
Cedar Bluff, game 1. I pull it up right here. Cedar Bluff has been our nemesis for a long, long time. And year in, year out, they're extremely hard to beat. We've kind of had their number the last few years. And hopefully after our scrimmage game that we can put things together and take care of it again. But we go Cedar Bluff away, Section away, Gillsville away, and then we've got Otter at home for the first home game, and that is our homecoming. So homecoming will be early. Then we've got Spring Garden away, North Sand at home, Raglan at home, Woodville away. Then we have a late bye week, but thank goodness it is our fall break week, so we're lucky there. And then we've got Appalachian at home and Collinsville at home. So, region's what it is. It's still every Friday night, a dog fight. And then our non-region games are Cedar Bluff, Section, North Sun Mountain, and Collinsville. A very good Collinsville team. So, we start the year off on August the 15th. And we'll have a jamboree type deal here. And right now we've got us, Coosa Christian, Pope John Paul. I hope I said that right. A school out of a private 4A private school out of Huntsville, and then Sandrock is coming. So we have 4 teams coming for a Friday night. We're going to start at 4:00 and play 2 halves against 2 different teams. But years past, we really like playing the best of the best for scrimmages. We have played 5. We have played Coosa Christian. We have played Chattooga. We have played Gordon Lee. We played Chattanooga Christian. It just really helps prepare us. I don't want to go into the scrimmage and everything go right and us look like $1 million and then fall on our face. We need something to work on. So to be able to get those things to work on, I need the best of the best to square off against there for a half of football to see where we need to be. But now I know that last year, 2 years ago, we played North Sand at home, and we were doing spring training still. And I was a spring training guy. and I wanted to carry my team through summer. And we played North Sand here and ended up, it was 0-0 down the third. We ended up getting beat. And I just didn't feel like we were I didn't feel like we were sharp. So the next year I elected to do the fall scrimmage, which was last year. And we went and played Coosa Christian. We played Lauderdale County, who's very good. And we got our ends handed to us, done some good things. And we come home and I'm being honest, guys, Cedar Bluff had a really good football team last year, especially early. And we were so fast that night. I mean, everything we done was fast and crisp, and I thought it was all due to playing that caliber of football and having to take those angles against those really good guys, to come play this fast tonight. See, it helped us.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, looking at the schedule, you kind of sort of, do kind of a summary of what I see is last year you had a lot of those folks were at home early in the season. And then the back part of the schedule was a lot of traveling. I think home field is a big advantage the second half of the season. I don't think it's a real advantage the first half of the season. So the schedule falls where the meat of the teams that you have to beat at the end are going to be at home. And I think that makes a big difference because last year you had to win those guys. You had to beat those guys on the road, and sometimes that didn't go well.
It didn't go well. The Appalachian games on the road, the Raglan games on the road didn't go well. So I feel real good about having those guys at home here late season. Yeah, I think that plays it. It's definitely a positive.
Yeah, definitely so. Well, Randy, I'll let you take it.
Hey, Coach, I got a question to ask you, or more of a comment. I'm a girls' dad who plays girls' football, works with the boys' football team, is pursuing athletic training, wanting to work with football. That ability to open up football now to some experiences for the female students. As you said, you've had one for 4 years. It's a wonderful part of the game that's been too long there.
I agree totally, and I wish her all the luck. People don't understand that. I walked on and I was extremely slow, and I wasn't a very good football player, but I loved the game. So I thought that's all I wanted out of life was to play college football. Well, I was hungry, broke, by myself, and next thing I know, my head football coach sends me to the gym, and Coach Jones gives me a full scholarship just to film basketball games. Now, I got to travel the country. I went to Juarez, Mexico, Phoenix, Arizona, Boca Raton, Florida, Vail, Colorado, all free trips and filmed, and they paid for my schooling. Like I didn't have to borrow no money. And I thought this is really where any female or male student who loves ball should be geared to. And then I know that when I was at Arkadelphia with Coach Nix and Coach Kelly and that bunch, I remember Coach Nix's dad, who's Coach Conrad Nix, and he was at Northside Warner Robins. And I remember Coach Nix saying, well, Dad's sending us James. We're getting James. I can't wait till James gets here. Well, when James got there, James was a just graduating high school senior, basically. And James knew more about the game of football, and James done everything. James done our computers. James set up our field. James done all the ordering. And Coach Conrad had pretty much trained that young man. You fast forward years later, and I'm at Sanford University watching my cousin Reed play, and Reed was playing guard at Sanford, and I'm standing there, and there's a golf cart come by, and I said, hey, what, are you James? And it was James. And he comes up there and talks to me. And I said, James, what are you doing here at Sanford? And he went to laughing. He said, you have no idea how much they paid me here. He said, I'm the head guy over all athletics. He was the head equipment man over the entire university. That bought him a house. I don't know what all. So, there's a ton of avenues there that can lead you into professional sports, can lead you into anything. But if nothing else, it can get your schooling paid for.
Whenever the boys team has a bad snap, now she's the daughter on the girls team that play flag. she offers to come out and teach the boys out.
There you go. There you go.
That's
Well,
her thing.
I know I had Caroline Hodges at Chattooga, and Caroline kicked for us, and her daddy coached for me, and he done the Ray Guy kicking camps. Actually, when he was in school, he was Ray Guy's son's holder. Somehow they were tied. So he still does kicking camps, Coach Chris Hodges, and his daughter kicked for us over there. And when I got, and she was great. She was the leading scorer of the whole history of the school. And so long story short, I get to Dade County, and we didn't have a kicker. And I told Coach Poston, I said, we got to find the soccer team, and I need to find a girl. Well, we found two twins. Well, I don't know if y'all know anything about those two girls. They kicked for 3 years at Dade County. They made every PAT. They ended up doing some kicking off. I mean, they were really good. So, yeah, the sky's the limit for them. But you can get your schooling paid for through a many avenues if you'll just hang out with the high school football team. You know, you've got huddle, you've got fundraising, you've got filming. I know a good friend of mine has just taken a job at Jacksonville State, and we were talking. I told him, I said, look, save one spot. I said, I've got a girl that's just like James. I said, she'll be your all-world. So hopefully when this year gets over with, we can get Brayley signed up and get her down there.
Hey, I want to ask you about the Ray Guy camp. Now, there was always rumors that Ray Guy used helium. Did y'all keep helium tanks around?
Well, I'm going to plead the filth on that one too, Phil. I don't really know what Chris Hodges had going, but they sure kept them balls away from the officials. I don't really know.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wondered because I always heard that rumor. Yep. So,
Yep. Chris had something in him because he didn't want the officials seeing balls. They kept them away from me too.
Hey, Coach, one more question, we'll let you run. I've chose most of my radio career to stay at the 3A and below level. And I'm at 4A now and having a great time because I'm getting to be with my daughter.
Sure.
But my heart's always been in Sequatchie County and that.
Yes, sir.
And it's very similar. I started on DeKalb County. What makes community football so special today compared to in Chattanooga, we've got teams that can't get 25 4A schools that's struggling to get 25 kids out.
I think a lot of it has got to do with heritage, genetics. Granddaddy played there. You can tie that into there's only one newspaper. You know, when we were coming through school, we didn't, you guys know there was no cell phones and stuff. I mean, I can still remember the long extension cord when I could go to my room and shut the door and talk on the phone. But, we had one newspaper. Well, in that newspaper, you knew everybody from every team. When you went, we had one town really in this county, which was Fort Payne. So on Friday nights, Saturday nights, you seen players from every school. You played against them in basketball. You played against them in t-ball. You played against them in softball. We even played with and against each other in men's league softball. So, me and Nicky Peppers, our relationship started. His family is from Fife. His whole family's from Fife. All the Peppers are out there. Well, the Hammons were from here. So me and him we should never cross paths, but we crossed paths because we played against each other every year, and we had a mutual respect for each other from Friday night. Well, fast forward to now, we've worked together now 6, 7. This be maybe our 8th year to work together. So I think and Sequatchie County up that way, Whitwell, even Grundy, they're all the same. I went to the most special thing I ever seen. We were at Dade County and we opened with Sequatchie County. And my mother's got a first cousin that lives over in that valley, and he referees football. Well, I forgot all about him, but going into the story, they're having a jamboree game over there. So I go to the jamboree game, me and another coach, just to scout Sequatchie County. When we get there, the stadium is packed. there is tents set up everywhere with people painting faces and making animals out of balloons and selling snow cone. I mean, I didn't know whether I was at a football game or a county fair. It was that amazing. I remember sitting down, and there was a monster of a gentleman, had on overalls, and he had 5 or 6 kids, and his wife was with him. They sat right in front of us, and I heard him talking. And that guy talked about 10 kids off of every team and probably 3 coaches. And I said, sir, do you have a kid? I mean, how do you? He said, nope. He said, we just follow football over here in this valley. He said, I know every kid on every team. He said, I pull for them. And I thought, this is the neatest thing I ever seen. So I think what you're talking about over there and here are almost mirror images of each other. And we played Sequatchie County that year, and we were needing a win so bad. I was worried to death about it. And we get over there, and I'm in the locker room, and there's a coach come to me, and he said, Coach Hammon, he said, there's a guy out here and he see you. I said, who is it? He said, it's one of the officials. I said, oh, Lord, already we were playing at Sequatchie County. There's no way we was going to win. And I walk outside, and it was Bimbo Cash, my mother's cousin. I walked back in, and I said, boys, we all right tonight. We won the game by 1 score.
That's ironic. I spent 12 years at Sequatchie County. It was probably my favorite 12 years.
Beautiful.
It was good. And, it's nice to see Sequatchie, though. Played in the state semis last year and probably odds-on favorite to make it to Chattanooga to play for a state title.
That is awesome. It's a beautiful place. Some of the best people I ever met in my life is when you go 59 north and hit the split and go toward Nashville from that split all the way up for about 45-minute drive. I've never met anybody that I didn't like. I've got friends over there, whether it be through, coonhounds or cars or something. I've never met anybody over that way that I thought that wasn't great people.
Yes, sir. Phil, I could talk to Coach Hammond for about 3 hours. We got started on cars. We'll be here.
Yeah.
So you better talk.
I'm going to sell him a car today, Phil. I got that.
Yeah.
That may be the best thing out of this conversation.
Hey, stick it to him.
Yeah.
I got 15, soon to be a 16-year-old.
You come see me. We'll get you fixed up. I need to give a shout out too. I've got 2 cousins, and Phil would know them, but I've got Connor Cash, Kevin and Mandy's oldest son. He'll be a senior at Huntington this year, and I'd like to wish him luck. He's a wide receiver and hopefully looking to start this year. But Connor has really worked extremely hard and been through the ups and downs of college football to hopefully get the opportunity. We got a chance to go to Maryville last year and watch him play. And he was on kickoffs and kickoff return. He got a lot of time on offense. But anyway, I think this is his time this year. And my daughter's a senior in radiology school, so I'm just hoping she passes everything, get her done by the end of this year. And then Carly's about the last one we've got, Kevin's youngest daughter, and she's at Fort Payne and plays all 3 sports. She plays volleyball, softball, and basketball, and that's hard to do at Fort Payne. But I think she hit 5 home runs last year, so I just want to tell those guys good luck going into this year.
And I think they feel pretty good about their basketball team this fall too.
The girls?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, they went to Florida, and it was crazy. I think they went to Florida and played down there and just beat everybody, but they opened up with Scottsboro, and I think that was one of their only losses. So I don't went all the way to Florida and played Scottsboro.
Yeah, well, that's a great program. Good measuring stick. I know Kinsley stepped up.
Yes.
Worthy, she stepped up. She's probably going to be a starter now. So
Sure will.
They'll move in. So they're not going to have a lot of depth, but they're still going to be a solid basketball team.
That's right. Yeah, it's time Kinsley's up there. They're all together now. I forgot about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to going and watching them this fall. That should be pretty good. Of course, we've got media days coming up. We'll see you there. I think it's July 28th, DeKalb Jackson. So you'll have some young men that'll be there, coming to speak. We'll look forward to that. That's always a fun time. I think it's a great time for the kids.
The kids love it, and I don't know whether they like the media days as much. I mean, they love it. But I really messed up the first time coming out there. I took them to eat chicken wings, and now they all think they get to go eat chicken wings on me every trip. So I got some. They just want to go for the chicken wings, I think.
Yeah.
I like chicken wings too. So.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well,
Coach, it's been a pleasure. I want to wish you the best of luck. I'll probably come down, come down and see you a couple of times. Getting toward practice time. But I know you're very optimistic about the 2025 season. Got a lot of holes to fill, but I think you feel pretty good about this football team. And I think being there 5 years now, really you're not going to have a lot of lulls.
No, I feel good about it, and I think it's going to be fun. We're going to do some things a little different than it's out of my comfort zone, and let the kids have fun with it. And they all know that our goal year in, year out is to have a winning season to make the playoffs. If we can just get in round one and have a winning season at Valley Head High School, sky's the limit. And then we'll set us another one. So right now we're trying to make sure we can get those 5-6 wins and get in the playoff hunt. So that's our goal for this bunch. Well, we don't have a lot of kids. We're down. I didn't admit, but there's a chance. There's a chance that we start fall just like what you remember and Daddy and Granddaddy and everybody does. We're going to have 18, 20 kids, 9 through 12. But I do have, on another note, just remember this. We may have the most special upcoming 7th and 8th grade group this school is. It's the most special one that I ever remember. We're at 30 or 31, almost 30 kids right now, and our 7th and 8th grade offensive line will outweigh our varsity offensive line by 60 pounds right now and maybe 2 inches taller. And they have all the tools. They have linebackers, running backs, receivers, DBs. I mean, those kids are a lot of fun. So future's bright if we can just hold it all together.
Yeah, keep those kids together naturally. Of course, if they have success, they'll stay together naturally. Right. So, in other words, you're letting the cat out of the bag. You probably may throw the ball more than 3 times a game.
Phil, we're fixing to it. If you ever remember that, what was that guy? He called it air raid. Yeah, I think that's what. I thought about getting us some T-shirts made for this year. I really did. I really did know how to work this camera, but this was the only computer, and behind me is all these 6 wide formations. I didn't want to give those away to nobody. But yeah, air raid, Phil.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure you've got skill people coming back, so you're going to have to get kids in space.
Yeah, I'm getting a little sick here, Phil, talking about it.
I know. You want that 3 yards in a cloud of dust and eat up 8 minutes of clock and score a touchdown. But
we may be back doing that pretty quick.
Yeah,
we're gonna have to do something.
Going to look like Monday Night Football on Friday night.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm gonna get some T-shirts made up.
Might ought to put ground rate on that, Coach. That's all.
Yeah, I know it.
For Phil Harris. You got anything else, Phil?
No, that's all. I just appreciate Coach for coming on. Think the world of it.
Well, same here, Phil. Feelings mutual, and I thank both of y'all. What you doing with the kid? I mean, anytime you need anything from me or anybody from Valleyhead, please call us, okay? Stop by anytime. Thank y'all so much.
Coach, it's a pleasure having you on, and we enjoy it every time.
Yes, sir. Well, it's right around the corner, so we'll all get some football in here after the 4th of July, so we better rest up.
I mean, Anna Lee doesn't turn 16 till March, so you'll have from January to March to get her a car ready. So
I'm gonna find her a good one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
For Phil Harris, Randall Cunningham, Coach Robert Hammon, Charles Robert Hammon, you're beyond the booth. Thank you. God bless, and come back and see us.